It's Breakfast Central, and we begin with a rather sad news this morning on Breakfast Central. Kenyan police say they have launched investigation into a particular situation, but after badly decomposed bodies, some of which bore signs of torture, were actually found in a river. A Kenyan rights group, HAKI Africa, said it counted 21 unidentified bodies, which were all men, in a hospital morgue that workers there said had been retrieved from the River Yala in a scenic area of Western Kenya.
But the police say that only 19 cases of bodies being found dumped in the River Yala had been reported over the past 2 years. According to police spokesman Bruno Shioso, this number represents a cumulative body count over the stated period, contrary to media reports insinuating all the incidences are a recent occurrence. Well, joining us live this morning is Executive Director HAKI Africa, Hussein Khalid. Many thanks for joining the program, Hussein. How is this situation in Kenya? How is it in relation to enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killing?
Thank you very much. And let me also appreciate you for taking time to cover this very, very important story for Kenyans. For us, it's a very, very concerning situation because over the years, we've reported a high number of enforced disappearances, particularly last year as HAKI Africa, which has been documenting enforced disappearances for the last couple of years. We have documented the highest numbers in 2021. So for us to now discover these bodies, and more so in the manner in which it's being done, because when we did our research, when we did our investigations, we spoke to the local communities, and they said that they have spotted two types of vehicles, that is a double cabin pickup and a probox, on several occasions on different nights, actually stopping at the bridge and dumping the bodies into the river, which means that, these bodies, these people are killed in other places and then they're brought there to be dumped. They also informed us that this is a recent phenomenon. It's not something that has been happening, contrary to what the police spokesperson said. I was at the morgue myself. I witnessed the 21 bodies with my own eyes. We then left the morgue. We went to the river where apparently these bodies were found. And true to the locals' claims, we saw for ourselves at least two floating bodies, which were still there even yesterday when other news companies visited the scene. So we are very concerned, and this particular statement from the police has also made us even more worried because we fear there might be some cover-ups being done, and that's why they're saying it's 19 bodies over 2 years, which is not true and does not reflect the true position on the ground.
Well, coastal Kenya and northern Kenya are among the most affected areas. What has been your experience, first of all, in highlighting the situation? You said you've seen the bodies. Tell us more about this experience of yours.
Yeah, it's true that here in Kenya, particularly the coast and northeastern, have seen high numbers of killings and disappearances over the years. Mostly these are associated with anti-terror activities, where individuals are picked from their homes in front of their families, never to be seen again. So we've been following up, and yes, as civil society organizations, as human rights groups, we support the fight against terror, and we do not want terrorism in any way to manifest itself in our country. But what we are saying is that this fight against terror must be done within the confines of the law. When we violate human rights in the name of fighting terrorism, we only create animosity between the state and communities, and this widens the gap when we are supposed to come together to address terrorism. So we have seen many, many families. Like I said, last year alone, we documented over 60 cases of enforced disappearances. And we don't know whether these bodies that are in River Yala are in one way or another connected to the disappearances, because up to this moment, we've not been able to identify the bodies that are lying at the morgue, and neither have we been able to confirm whether we have all the bodies from the river. And for the local communities in Yala, the most concerning fact for them is that this is the same water that they use for their daily domestic use. This is the water that serves the entire region. And for them to have the water that they use with bodies inside, that rotting bodies that have stayed in the waters for a couple of days, if not weeks, it's very, very, very concerning. So it's an issue that has, has caught many's attention in Kenya, and we hope that this time something serious will be done. One, to identify the bodies, but two, to know who is behind these killings and subsequent dumping of the bodies in the river. We can't have this situation, especially with elections around the corner in August this year.
Right. I mean, clearly you took some of the words right out of my mouth, looking at water pollution for the people who live around River Yala. I mean, so right now, Hussein, what has your efforts been? What has it been in engaging the security sector with some agencies such as Independent Policing Oversight Authority and even the Kenyan Police Service? What have they done? What action have they put towards ensuring that things like this do not happen as often as we're seeing or hearing?
Yeah, I mean, that's the crux of the matter, isn't it? We need to pull together to unravel what is happening, particularly in River Yala. I mean, for statements to come out, basically trying to hide the facts, to hide the truth, it's not helpful in any way. We need to pull together as a country to get to the bottom of this. We know that, there are elements in our communities, criminals, suspected terrorists and others who engage in illegal activities. And we must put an end to this. We must stop them from causing harm to Kenyans. But as we do this, we must make sure that the innocent are not caught up in between. We must make sure the constitution of Kenya is followed. We must make sure the laws of the land are also adhered to. And we have reached out to the Director of Public Prosecutions because he has the authority to set up an inquiry into this. We feel that the police may not be in a position to carry out impartial investigations because they've had this information for several months now, and we haven't seen any particular action. We've also written to the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, as you've mentioned, to asking them to intervene and also follow up because they have the responsibility to investigate any wrongdoings by the police. So we suspect that there might be some involvement of the police. That's why we've written to IPOA for them to carry out investigations and ascertain whether or not the police are involved. So we are hopeful that in the next couple of weeks, we might get answers as to who is behind this, but then also know who these victims are, whose bodies are currently lying at the morgue.
It's quite an intriguing story, and I can say it's very worrisome, Hussein. But looking at the fact that these bodies are usually dumped and there are no security operatives surrounding that area, particularly the River Yala, to ensure that they could monitor and, if possible, grab hold of these persons. If I may ask, is there any link to this action with the threats of terrorism in Kenya? Or would you say it has nothing to do with terrorism, having followed through this case?
I think we have tried to get some form of identification by just looking at the bodies. And looking at the bodies, we still need forensic or pathologists to actually conclusively determine where these bodies are from. But from the look of things is that these bodies may not be from the coast and northeastern, which is where mainly issues to do with terrorism are associated with. We fear that these bodies might be from western parts of Kenya, where issues of land and ethnic related matters, issues of livestock are very much at the fore. So we can't tell for sure right now whether they are terror-related or criminals, perhaps gangsters who've been operating within the area and other parts of Nairobi. We can't say for sure, but we are hoping that once the identities have been confirmed, once the autopsies have been undertaken, then we'll be able to get better information that will help us understand what is happening in Yala.
All right. It is a very, very, very worrisome story this morning. But thank you, Executive Director, HAKI Africa, Hussein Khalid. We will follow the story closely to see how it develops. I mean, these people, the victims, even the families, they need to have some form of closure. Something must be done. But thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great job done by Hussein and his team there, HAKI Africa. Oluchi, this is one sad story. I mean, that's why we're Africa First here on News Central, breaking barriers and ensuring that we bring to you even the details and stories that you probably are not hearing. And that's what we do here. I want to say thank you once again to HAKI Africa and, of course, Hussein and his team. Quite a shocking story.
It is, Joe. I mean, and to know that it's mainly male, because, I mean, from what he has said, there are just a lot of men. These are the dead bodies that are being identified in the river, and they're possibly being moved from where they were killed to that location. Now, autopsy is very important. We need to know the cause of death. The families are probably putting out a missing reports file out there and going to police to report. They need to get some form of closure. If this continues, the level of pollution in that area, the level of insecurity, the level of fear in the people that live around River Yala will be untold.
I have a problem as well for the fact that it's the same water that is being used for daily consumption and so on.